Welcome to Messenger of the Divine. This is the I Am. Jesus speaking. Hello, dearest ones. Today I speak not of myself, nor planet Earth, nor the whole of humanity's future or present, though I will address these at another time. Today I bring my love and admiration for the one who receives my message. This one called Charol Messenger. I speak of my relationship with her and a few relevant related details. First of all, I have known this one called Charol in this body since the beginning of archangels. She is one of us. She too is an early archangel from the first clan we call serendipity. The angels of serendipity had many roles, but they are often known as the creator angels, of which I speak in the book through Charol, The Bringers of Hope, expanded 2nd edition. As such, I have known this being called Charol in this body since the beginning, before humans. Angels existed long before there were any humans or even a physical reality. So before I get to my relationship with Charol and the work that we are doing together, I will mention something else about myself to make sure the message is clear. I am in the eternal realm as the firstborn out of the I Am consciousness, the created first being. My name in the eternal is Sananda. I am one. I am the firstborn. Happens that it is the way it is. It also happens that I am the vibration that lent itself to the human being you know as Jesus on planet Earth. So in many of my writings and channelings in the videos, to help you understand who I am, sometimes I call myself Jesus Sananda. Jesus on the earth, Sananda forever. And let me say this for those who don't know. I have never incarnated. No one on the planet now or in the past is myself. No one is Jesus incarnated. No one. Only the first, whom you already know. Many people think they are Jesus or call themselves Jesus and think they are the return of the I Am, but they are not. They don't know. They don't know who they are. They are not me. I am, I am, I am, I am. One. There is no other but the firstborn. There are not two. There are no twins in the angels that began before human beings were created, before humans came to be. The angels are not twins and do not have twin flames. These are not the angels. The angels are one. Each angel has an individuality, an individual personality, and individual talents and abilities and aptitudes, just like people. This is inherent in being created out of the I am. We are all creative beings with our own individuality. And in the archangels, and in myself in particular in this moment, let me say, I am one. There is no other beside me. I am not a twin, and there is no twin flame. I am the firstborn. I am an archangel, the first created being. The second created being, Archangel Michael, whom you know. You don't have a problem thinking he's more than one. He's not a twin. He has no twin flame. Archangel Michael is. And the third, Gabriel. The third created being, Archangel Gabriel. The fourth created being, Archangel Uriel. The fifth created being, known as the Radiant One. Carol has not yet discerned the name, but this is the vibration, the Archangel, who lit its presence vibration upon the one you now know as Mother Mary, who in her own right has ascended into the heavenly realms. And you know her as the Radiant One. And she is. She is one of us. The fifth archangel, the sixth created being, Jadzeel, Jadzziel. This is the one, the archangel, who impressed its being upon the one whom you know who became, through his evolution, who became the one known as the Buddha. These are one and the same. And so when you think of the Buddha, yes, he is ascended. He is my brother. We are kin. He is one of the first 7 angels. The angel did not physically incarnate. None of us has physically incarnated. None of us. No one who thinks they are us, no, it is real. No one is, there is no one who is us in the physical body. None of us has inhabited a physical body. None of us. We have impressed our consciousness in being, infused it into the body of the singular ones known as Jesus, Mary, and the Buddha. And that self merged with our vibration and elevated and ascended into that rightful place in the cosmos. So that I am Jesus Sananda. We are one and the same. The 7th archangel, Raphael. And I say this because you have been listening to some videos from Raphael, who is speaking on behalf of the Divine Council, who were not ETs, whatever you might read. We're talking of the Divine Council of ascended masters from all the worlds in all dimensions and all universes. That's the Divine Council. Just as on earth, you also have a council. We call it the Council of Light. In earlier centuries and decades, this was called the spiritual hierarchy. But we tell you this, there is no real hierarchy We all have different duties. We do not have ambition. Duties, responsibilities, such as teaching, compassion, guidance. We all have different abilities just as you do, and different talents and aptitudes. Okay, so bottom line, there are tens of thousands of angels in the first angel clan, the angel of serendipity. And there were many clans. And all of this has already been begun, and I will continue to elaborate and develop it in the book we are titling The Angels of Serendipity. But we will go beyond that into the levels of angels and their duties and cooperation. And why? Why are we helping humanity? Because we already know you. Because every single one of you was first an angel. I discussed this important moment of thought in my first book through Charol, The New Humanity, which she received as her higher consciousness. But I wrote it. I'm the author. She was not yet ready to accept that Jesus might speak to her. Well, I am now. I always did, but she didn't know until I woke her. So bottom line, angels, we the archangels are singular. There is no twin flame. I am Sananda, the firstborn. And the name Sananda has been used in later generations and later beings and earthlings and humans. But I am the first. I am the Sun, S-U-N. Let me also mention this. Many who think they are ascended are not yet ascended. And here's how you can tell the difference. When one is still filled with arrogance and thinks they are better than someone else, or thinks they have all the answers and they are the only one, think they know, they are not ascended. Because once you have ascended, you have no arrogance about you. There is no room for it because your heart is full of love, compassion, and forgiveness and understanding. And until you have reached that state in your being, you are not even halfway to ascension. You are way below where you think you are. Because the higher consciousness, the higher being, has no room for judgment and doesn't care about judging anyone else and lets everything go because it really matters not. All that matters is if you are judging, you are not where you think you are. And you have taken steps backward. And you still have a long way to go in your attitude. That's one of the reasons I wrote in 2020 the book through Charol, which she published verbatim and did not edit it, Your Awakening Attitude of Service, because everything is attitude. Okay, coming back to my relationship with Charol. If you have any further questions about the origin and who I am, etc., 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 please leave comments on the YouTube video. You may also leave comments in the Facebook post. And Charol will make note of it mentally, and I will address it at some point in the future. I also would like to say this before I continue. If anyone pushes themselves upon you, impresses themselves upon you as if you are wrong and they are right, take a step back and ignore that person, because that person is not interested in who you are and has no idea who you really are. Take a step back and unfriend that person. You do not need darkness in your life. Walk away from it. It only causes confusion. Walk away from it. Okay. So I've known Carol as her physical being her entire life, because she did volunteer to come into this life, as many of you did, a great many of you did and have recently. She volunteered. She was in a hurry. She could see what we all can see what lies ahead. We all know what the big picture is. And she wanted to come in and do whatever she could, forgetting it's not that easy. And it depends on what shapes you as the human being, as to how fast you get there. Those of you of more recent birth may get there much faster, and we congratulate you on the opportunity, because it is not an easy path. Do whatever you can to keep your heart open, because the heart is the pathway to awakening. And when we say awakening, that means knowing who you really are, remembering who you really are. And as you continue the path, you expand in your consciousness, which is levels of consciousness, which is dimensions, mentally, physically, spiritually. Okay, so age 12, Carol felt my presence very strongly when she was in church, so strongly that she asked to be baptized. She wanted to be a missionary. I said, thank you very much. Because I already knew what was going to come, but, it took a while. She still had to grow up, go through childhood. It was very hard. And go through college, judgments, and all of this stuff from her family, and go through jobs and jobs, one job after, having no direction really, just an aimless person, just going where she felt she could work. And she was appreciated and she did good work. So over the years, and then after many events that happened up until age 30, then there was this, what she thinks of. Well, first of all, she had an accident in 1969 in her car, and it gave her a whiplash, and she had a blackout and migraines, very severe headaches for 6 months. And the doctors couldn't find anything. So eventually that was 1969. Eventually she got past that and was still working through all of it. Blinding headaches, nonstop, for 24/7 for 6 months. But what happened during that same period was the woman she worked for gave her the book, a biography of Edgar Cayce, The Sleeping Prophet, and that opened the door for Carol. And she was able from there to continue forward, reading everything she could, that because she was hungry for the knowledge, she felt drawn to it. She read everything she could, like Ruth Montgomery, Jane Roberts, and the Seth books really connected with her, and she wanted to do that too. I want to do that. Because it all felt so fantastic. I mean, who knew that it could really happen? She had no clue. She felt it at the core of her being, but she had no idea it was possible, or even how. I mean, Jane Roberts was a special, unique person. And so it felt great. It sounded great, but there was no idea of how to go about it. And Carol never attended classes for any of this. She didn't study. No one showed her what to do. No one taught her how to do this. I taught her. I was her guide. I am her master teacher. So she read everything she could, and one of the books that was interesting that she found that she was a turning point for her when she was in a bookstore. A singular small book fell off the top shelf in a bookstore and fell off at her feet. It just kind of fell off. All the other books were still there, and this one book fell down, and it was Jonathan Livingston Seagull. And so that was a wonderful little book that gave Carol direction. Okay. So about 6.5 years later, in November 1975, a very long, dramatic, dark story. I'll let Carol tell it in her future memoir, number 2. Bottom line, at the end of that dark event that happened, that aggravated and stimulated this response, Carol had dropped this person off at a bus station late at night on a Saturday night after he had stayed in her apartment for a week, and her mind was not in the physical plane. Her mind was in the higher dimensions. And so he left. And she was in her bedroom in the dark, had gone to bed early, 8 p.m., exhausted after this horrendous experience she had been through with this individual. Very, very long, many months of trauma through this individual. And yes, that was an initiation. But it only was the prologue to the third initiation. It was the prologue of the third initiation, which is merging with the higher self, the oversoul. And that's what happened on this night. Started at 8 p.m., ended at 2:30 a.m., November 2nd, 1975. Bottom line, I was there the entire time looking over Carol. Archangel Michael impressed himself upon Carol and overlighted her to protect her from harm. A lot happened. The dark forces, the dark one, known as Lucifer, made many, many attempts to sway Carol, to turn her for fame and glory and riches, and just kept on and on and on, and we just let him play that out because we already knew her answer. And indeed, Carol went through it all, saw a lot of visions around that, and then said no and turned her back on it and metaphorically walked away from it. It was in that instant, as Carol lay in her bed in the dark bedroom, was in that instant that Carol saw and heard the heavenly light illuminate her bedroom as if there were no walls or ceiling and all she saw was stars. Well, yes, she was not in her body, of course, but she saw and heard a huge congregation of angels singing hallelujah outside the gates of heaven because of the choice that Carol had made to turn to the light, instinctively knowing this was the right choice. And it was at that time, in that moment, that I began sending waves and waves and waves and waves of visions of humanity to Carol. And the first thing Carol noticed was it was nighttime, and she saw the entire globe of Earth in a night sky, and every soul on Earth, every human soul on Earth was a light. and the earth was covered with these lights of these souls. And all of these souls on the earth were connected by strings of light. And so there was this web of lights all around the world, soul to soul to soul. And it was then that I began sending visions of humanity's future, wave after wave after wave, the new revelations. And these images that I then at that time sent, deep-seated in Carol's higher consciousness, that over the years, as she reached the higher level of vibration, she then received as a book. And I sent the words to her at that time for each book. And the first of these was The New Humanity, which is currently in the book titled Humanity 2.0, but is the first volume and is pristine and pure and unedited as I sent it. That little charming book discusses how humanity is now in an evolutionary leap for the first time ever in all of human history. It has never happened like this before. You may think there's a cosmic age. It's just like every other cosmic age. This one is different. This is like nothing that has ever happened before to the human species on this earth and all the others. All the other worlds that are Earth-like. Everyone is going through the same shift in consciousness in the same evolutionary leap. Wherever you are now, you are breaking out of it and going into the higher levels of consciousness, which I describe in recent books in more detail. But for example, I can mention that the sequel to The New Humanity is The New Humans expanded third edition. I did I did write that entire book. The original book I sent through Carol as her blog, 2011 through 2017. She thought it was her higher consciousness. It was me. But anyway, but then she coalesced it into a book. And then I added an entirely new volume with many new chapters and updated it 2023. It is from me. The original book is in the higher consciousness point of view, Carol's point of view. The new volume and new material that I add is in my point of view and my voice. Because everything from here on is in my perspective. Yay. We are glad to finally get there. Thank you, Carol. And then the sequel to that, The Bringers of Light, is so that's 3 so far. And that is in my voice and in my perspective. And I did write that 100% in my voice. And also 2023. So we were very busy. We got a lot accomplished. All of the materials, everything, every single book that Carol has published relates to the new humanity and the evolutionary leap that humanity is going through, and you've just begun. The new cosmic age. You felt the influence of it, the effect of it as early as 2001 with all of the new humans who have been coming in, and they are the third wave, the new humans. But you crossed a threshold as a human species. September 22, 2011, that was the doorway, that was the threshold, and you crossed over it. You are now in the new age. The past is behind you. The veil is gone. There is no more veil between you and the higher levels of vibration. You just have to sense it and feel it and know that what you see and feel and hear is real. There is no more veil. between the dimensions, between the worlds. So Carol went through the experience in 1975, still being a human being. It took her some time to integrate that vibration. It was the merge with her oversoul consciousness. Her oversoul is the one known as Samuel in the Old Testament. That was an incarnation of the oversoul. And if you have read the Seth books by Jane Roberts, you understand what the oversoul is about. It's not a physical being. It's not an entity. It's comprised of it has many incarnations. Well, Samuel was one of the incarnations and is the oversoul of Carol. She thought at the time, fantastic, an oversoul. And through all of this, I was yet behind all of it, watching and observing and guiding and helping. Because that's really what you do as you evolve and become more than you were, and you grow in compassion, you grow in appreciation, you grow in affection for all living things, and you find that you let go of anger and hostility that settles in you. You may have moments, but the settling, the angst, the hook, it goes away. It does, it goes away. So Carol has been through several generations, several reiterations of her spiritual evolution, which is rising in ability to see more, understand more, perceive more. How does this happen? How does it work? As you open your heart and you are open to seeing others as equal. And there's no judgment, race, religion, gender. It makes no difference. You care about other because you see all as one. This is a rising in your vibration as a soul consciousness. And there are many levels of vibration and many levels of evolution. And I describe all of these, many levels of consciousness, and they're all parallel, and they all correlate. I describe all of these in the newer books where I've added materials like the new humans, the bringers of light, the bringers of hope, your awakening attitude of service, and the new materials, and the videos that Carol has been doing for me at my suggestion for about 2 years, where I'm able to offer more detail than I've ever given before. Brand new things that Carol didn't even know existed. So why does Carol do this? She has a heart commitment to be in service to the betterment of humanity. That's why she does it. She has no agenda. She's not rich. She doesn't seek glory or fame. Not anymore. Okay, got over that. Thank you, Carol. But doesn't mean it won't come. But she no longer cares. It's not the goal. The only goal is, what can I do for you? How can I help? How can I serve you? And all I ask is, whatever is for the highest good. Because if you know me, Jesus, if you know me, you know that I have no bias, no judgment, that I see everyone as equal. And here's the other thing. Know this. I am not better than you. The ascended masters are not better than you. We have more experience, but we see you as our equal because we understand it is an equal playing field. There is no one ahead of anybody else, except in your ability to grasp intuitively, empathically, whatever skills you possess, through the heart consciousness, the soul, the awareness, the soul working through the open heart. As that expands, so does your ability to comprehend and see the bigger picture. And all else begins to fall away. So I have been with Carol throughout all of this. In every moment I am there for her. She is my ally. We are partners. She's the human partner in this venture that we are now on for the new humanity. I do have other people who channel, but each one has a different perspective or goal. It matters not to me, nor to them. Each of you does your part by following the guidance of your own soul. And that's all you need to know. So I just wanted you to know that I have every confidence and put all of my trust and faith in Carol as my representative. She is without bias, and she does not seek anything from you that you are not willing to offer and give. This is how you remain untainted by the attractions, the envy, because you get past the need for it. It simply no longer matters to you. Carol is my envoy, my ambassador. She writes and channels and speaks on my behalf. And I write and speak on behalf of the entire Council of Light of this world. And I also monitor the Divine Council and their connection with Carol. And they have only been channeling through her since September 4th, 2023. She only then ascended to that level of consciousness where she could tap into it and they could connect with her at the 8th level of consciousness or dimension. There are 11 levels of consciousness or dimension while you're in the physical body. There are more after that, of course, but in the physical body, so that you have a sense of where you are. I describe in many of the new books, I would say everything I've added since 2019, everything I have done since then, where I've added materials or published new books through Carol. I have outlined layers and layers of the dimensions and the levels of consciousness, including in the videos, to give you a sense of where you might be right now. Wherever you were, I suspect if you're hearing this, then you're not there anymore. If you are hearing this and resonating with it, you are no longer third dimension consciousness. You think you're in a physical world, but your level of your physical world is on a different vibratory frequency than you used to experience. How do you know? Because it's easier to just let go and not hang on and not care about what has fallen away. That doesn't mean you might not try to repair it, but you no longer have an attachment to it. You just keep moving forward. And so here we are with Carol on this day, January 13. 2024. She is my ambassador, and she speaks my word, and she shares my voice and my messages, and which are the messages of the entire Council of Light. We all speak with one voice. None of us is biased or has judgment, or we would not be ascended. Ascension is having let go of the need for all of that. You simply have no longer have that angst in you. It simply it's simply gone. When you reach that level, you know that something has substantially shifted in who you are. And it's a very good place to be. Meanwhile, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Carol's motto, never get up. Never give up. Just keep going. Keep going. Keep going. That's the lesson. That's the life lesson. This is all I have to say in this moment. I just wanted to put my hand on Carol, on her shoulder, and wave to you humbly and say, this is one in whom I am well pleased. I ask you to put your confidence in her. She will not let you down. I am Jesus Sananda. Thank you. Blessed be.